Hello, welcome back to the channel, and this is a channel where we give you reviews, playthroughs, unboxings, and we generally like to talk a load of bollocks. Tabletop gaming in general, and in this video we're going to be talking about, or we're going to be redoing a video that we did about 3 to 4 years ago. We're going to be talking about our top 10 worker placement games, and the reason that we're going to be redoing this video is because I went back and I looked at the original video and I thought it looked like it was complete and utter dog shit, right? It was filmed on an iPhone. The lighting was terrible, the sound was terrible, plus things have changed radically since 2018-ish. So we're going to give you a revised edition of this top 10. I haven't gone back and looked at all the video. I watched about 5 seconds of it and then I was sick in my mouth because it was that bad. So just remember that if your top 10 worker placement game ain't on this list, that's because A, it's fucking shit, or B, probably ain't played it, or maybe it's just not good enough for this list. So remember, if you're new here, then please consider subscribing to this channel. Leave a comment in that section down below. Hit the like button on that YouTube bullshit. See you after this. Bollocks. So, as seems to be customary with a lot of these top 10 videos, we're going to give you a couple of honourable mentions. I can't remember if these were on the original list, but if they were, who gives a shit? So, the first game that we're going to mention that just didn't quite manage to scrape onto this list is Ignacy Trzewiczek's Robinson Crusoe Escape from the Cursed Island. I really do love this game. It's just that I haven't played it that much recently for it to warrant a place on this list. This game is a bit like me, hard as fuck. It sees you stranded on a desert island. You'll be needing to gather food, you'll be needing to gather different types of resources that will allow you to fend off animals, that will allow you to survive different types of catastrophic events. The game is always nipping at your heels. Sometimes it's going to bite your leg off. We've only completed this once, and that's on the Castaways entry-level scenario, right? And that's part of the charm of this game, is that you are constantly bombarded with problems to deal with, and if you win the game, then that's because you deserve it, right? And that's a rare thing in board games today, right? So yeah, it's Robinson Crusoe. It's a shame. Maybe I should have dumped it on the top 10, but it's not there. So tough titties. So the next game that might have just crept onto this list, but I went through them and I thought no, for some bizarre reason. Maybe I was in a bad mood, but it's Everdell, right? And I suppose this is more of a card drafting game than a worker placement game. In this game, you will be one of the inhabitants of this sort of, I don't know, Beatrix Potter style. I don't know, is it like a village or a town or something? You'll be hiring different types of Beatrix Potter style characters to chain together that will give you a chance of winning the game, right? I suppose part of the reason that this game is so beloved is because of the cutesy artwork, right? I guess if you were drawing different types of bricks, it wouldn't be popular. But yeah, Everdell is a charming game with some neat mechanics. It's just a massive table hog. If you've got all the expansions, then you're going to be talking like a 6-foot table, right? And it's just a little bit unwieldy. You're going to play with it. I just like to chuck it all together. So yeah, again, this ain't on the list because we haven't really played it much over the last year, but it's still a cracking game, right? So number 10 on this list is a game called Stone Age. This is on the list because it's such a simple bloody game. What you're going to be doing, you're going to be placing your workers out onto a variety of different places, right? I know that's because it's a worker placement game, right? All of these games are going to be doing that, and they, you stupid twats. You might want to gather different types of resources like brick, stone, gold, and all that stuff. You might want to go out and get some grub by hunting. You might want to go to the Love Shack baby, make a child, and put them to work immediately by putting them up a Stone Age chimney. Or you might want to build different types of huts. You'll be trading different types of resources to get these huts, and this is the main way of getting victory points. And lo and behold, it's the player with the most victory points that's going to win the game. The thing that makes this game stand out from the rest is the fact you get this leather bondage cup to throw your dice with. The number of pips that you roll determines how many resources you're going to get, so there's a nice blend of skill and luck in Stone Age, right? It's a very simple game. It's a very enjoyable game. It's a very short game, and it's one of our favourite work placement games of all time. So number 9 on this list is a bit of a cheat really, I suppose, because it's more like a dice placement game. But you're going to be using the dice as workers. So, well, it's my channel. I do whatever the fuck I like, right? So yeah, in this game, you're going to be rolling dice. You're going to be placing these dice out onto the board as workers. The pips on the dice relate to the different spaces that you can go. The idea of the game is to build these, I suppose they're sort of like colonies on the board. The only bummer thing about this game is that it can be a little bit too long because other people can remove your colonies and replace them with their own. So there's going to be this sort of back and forth thing that's going to last for ages and ages and ages. And sometimes the game outstays its welcome, which is why it's high up on this list. There was a fantastic expansion released for Alien Frontiers Factions, which gives you a unique special ability that you can use in the game, right? But yeah, Alien Frontiers have been around for donkey's years. I think it's in its like 5th edition or something daft like that. And decent games will never ever go out of print, and Alien Frontiers is one of them games, isn't it? So number 8 on this list is a relatively new game for us. It's a game called Barrage, right? This is a highly addictive worker placement game where the theme is very, very strong, which is a bit of a rarity for some of these worker placement games, right? In Barrage, you'll be attempting to manipulate the flow of water downhill so that you can divert it to your power stations. That's going to allow you to generate energy that will give you victory points, right? You'll be placing your workers out onto this board. You'll be trying to build different types of buildings, whether it's different levels of your dam. You might be trying to get different types of resources like cement mixers, or you might just want to create a load of energy if that is your thing. The component quality in Barrage leaves a lot to be desired. I was very, very disappointed with the quality of the components with this one. But thankfully, the game is that good that really the lackluster component stuff melts away, and you're just presented with this wonderfully thematic worker placement game that really, really enjoy a lot. So number 7 on this list is Sulking the Mine Calendar. This game is famed for its absolutely humongous giant cogs that are on the board. Some people were moaning when this was first released saying, well, this could have just been some sort of track. Maybe it could have been, but I don't give a shit about that. The cogs are absolutely amazing. What you're going to be doing in this game is really, really simple. You're going to be either putting your worker onto one of the cogs, or you'll be taking it off and taking the action associated with the space where the cog is. The longer that you leave your worker on the cogs, the more lucrative the reward is going to be. But in doing so, you're going to be left with less immediate resources. So it takes time to gather the more lucrative resources. This game is essentially themeless, right? It's an abstract type of thing. You'll be going to these different locations that are linked to, say, food, or these crystal skulls that will give you victory points. But it's just something really, really exciting about watching these gears turn around, knowing that you've got a finite amount of time to extract the best stuff out of the game, yeah? Sulking the Mine Calendar has been around for about 10 years now, and it's still one of our favourite worker placement games of all time. So number 6 on this list, on this revised list of our top 10 worker placement games, is Stonemaier Games Viticulture, right? This is a lot of people's favourite worker placement game of all time. In this game, you'll be placing your workers out onto the board in spring, summer, autumn and winter, and you might be growing grapes to turn into wine. You might go down that route. You might want to go down a route of showing a lot of visitors around. There's a lot of visitor cards that will give you one-shot bonuses or extended bonuses, but the crux of the game is that you have to fulfil these contracts for these rich bastards that are going to drink all this piss water. The more that you do, the more chance you have got of winning Viticulture, right? It's a relatively simple game, right? It's been expanded upon with a Tuscany expansion, which gave the game a little bit too much bloat, so Stonemaier Games stripped both of these options down, and you've now got the Viticulture Essentials Edition and a Tuscany Essentials Edition. If you throw them two together, then you've got a perfect worker placement game, right? Probably perfect. And then you've just add the cooperative Viticulture World expansion that, lo and behold, gives you the cooperative option, and it is absolutely fantastic, right? If you've got Viticulture, then I wholeheartedly recommend you pick up the Viticulture World expansion, even if cooperative games aren't really up your back alley, right? So yeah, Viticulture is a superb, easy to play, streamlined worker placement game that we love a lot. So number 5 on this list is a game based on a book that nobody's ever read. Well, at least I haven't read it, and I've got no plans on reading it ever. It's Pillars of the Earth. In this game, you will be placing your workers onto the board, right? And then you'll be taking them off in sequence. So you might want to place your worker in the forest. You might want to place them in the quarry. You might want to dump them in the King's Court where they can evade a load of tax, right? But once everybody's dumped their workers on the board, you'll be going around in a sequence. So you'll start over here and you'll go all the way around until you get to here, or maybe it's here, probably over here. One of the things about this game has got a unique turn order mechanism where you'll be placing all your master builder pieces into a bag. You'll be drawing them out, and you'll have the option of maybe passing or placing them out and paying a certain amount of gold. If you pass, then you'll be reducing the amount of gold you've got to pay to stick your master builder out to the turn order, right? Obviously, in doing so, you're going to make it cheaper, but you're going to delay the position of your master builder, right? So there's this nice sort of toss up between paying a gold for the best position or hanging on, saving a little bit of gold, but getting a little bit of a shittier place on the turn order, right? So yeah, Pillars of the Earth. Don't bother reading the book, just play the sodding game, right? So number 4 on this list is, I'm going to cheat, I'm going to say 2 games. I'm going to say Agricola and Cavanagh, because I don't know, they're quite similar, aren't they? And I don't know, I keep changing my mind as to which one I like the best, right? So I'm going to bung both on, right? If you don't like it, fuck off. So yeah, these are basically just worker placement games. You'll be placing your worker out onto the board. The main bit of player interaction is that you can only have one worker on that spot, right? Agricola gives you a lot of occupation cards, a huge amount of occupation cards actually, and Cavanagh gives you a plethora of rooms to furnish your cave with, right? Both of these games have a unique mechanism. I suppose it's unique. Well, I'm going to say it's unique anyway, right? Got a unique mechanism where a lot of the action spaces are going to be revealed as the game progresses, right? So you know these action cards are going to come out, but you don't know which order they're going to come out in, right? So there's a little bit of planning, but then there's a nice bit of random aspect to this as well, right? Agricola and Cavanagh are a couple of the greatest worker placement games ever made. Agricola stayed #1 on that nasty little website's top 100 board games of all time for ages and ages before it was displaced by a bucket load of the Cult of the New shit. We did recently grab a copy of A Feast for Odin, but I don't think it's as good as these two. I'd rather play these over that. So yeah, Agricola, a classic worker placement game, Cavanagh, a classic worker placement game, and it doesn't really matter which of the two you get, right? So number 3 on this list sort of makes me a hypocrite. I was just slagging off the Cult of the New wankers, right? And this is Dune Imperium. I know it's a deck building game as well, but really it's got a worker placement aspect, right? And that is what we're talking about here, isn't it? We're not talking about deck builders, you bleeding knobs. So in Dune Imperium, you'll be taking the role of one of the characters from, I don't know, is it the book or the movie? I don't know. Each character has a unique special ability they can use when they use their signet ring card, right? You'll be placing workers out onto the board to gain resources that will tie in nicely with the deck that you are building in your hand, right? One of the unique things about Dune Imperium is that when you pass, you get to play the cards that are left in your hand. So when you're doing the worker placement aspect, you've got to be thinking about what cards you're going to be retaining in your hand and how that relates to the next round of worker placement actions, right? So there's these 2 facets to this game that blend almost perfectly together, right? I'm not a big fan of the theme of Dune. I'm just find the whole Dune thing a bit of a bandwagon, and it's just ugly. I really don't like it at all. But the theme sort of melts away when you're playing this game. It's a truly exciting game. It doesn't overstay its welcome at all, and it always has tense finishes whenever we play this game, right? Dune Imperium, it's going to be a classic game. It really is. It's that good. And if you haven't played it, why? So number 2 on this list of our revised top 10 worker placement games is a game called Lords of Waterdeep. This has been around since 2012. It's got the Dungeons and Dragons logo on it, but really it's nothing to do with D&D. So if you've got any mates that take the piss out of you for playing D&D, you can tell them either to piss off or not to worry about it, because there's not really anything D&D-ish about this game at all. So what you're going to be doing, you'll be taking the role of sort of an intermediary between the Lords of Waterdeep and the working class scroats that are going to be doing all the dirty work, right? You'll be sending these scroats, like magic users, not wizards, right? You 5th edition Luddites, and thieves, not rogues, right? Get it into your bleeding head. Where were you when AD&D was released, eh? Clerics and fighters, and you'll be sending them on missions to get victory points, right? I don't know what it is about this game, right? But it's just got this fantastic atmosphere, right? It's got one of the best expansions that we've ever seen in the Scoundrels of Skullport expansion, which adds 2 extra boards and more spaces to go. It also allows you to play up to 6 players, and it really does work with 6 players, right? It doesn't really impact on the game time that much, right? Lords of Waterdeep is a great example of how some of the simplest games are some of the best. We'll never ever stop playing Lords of Waterdeep. I'm always looking to play this one, and I always will be till the day I die. Sorry for you. I'm going to live forever. So number 1 on this list is another classic worker placement game. Some people say it's the first worker placement game, but I don't think it was. I think they're telling a load of porky pies. But anyway, it's Kylas, right? Not the 1335 Kylas or whatever it was called. This is the original Scary King Kylas, right? So the premise of this game is you'll be helping that king to build his castle of Kylas, right? You'll be getting resources in the usual manner. But the thing that sets this game apart is that you've got a road leading down from the castle, and you'll be building buildings on these empty spaces, right? And you'll be activating these buildings in sequence. But you've got a provost that is going to be moving up and down the road, telling your workers that they're being either lazy or doing a good job, right? So you'll be moving this provost backwards and forwards, trying to stitch each other up. Some people tell me that Kylas is dated, there's better options on the table, but I don't know, I'm not sure about this. There's literally no luck in this game, and it doesn't really feel that there's any sort of one true pathway through this game, because you'll be relying on other players to not take the stuff that you want or trying to get them to take something else so you can get what you want. You'll also be able to piss on their fire by moving that provost one space closer to their stuff, right? Kylas is where it all began for a lot of people, and for me it's where it ends, because there is no better worker placement game than the original, right? If you haven't played Kylas, you really do need to go out and get it. I haven't played the new version, so I'm going to tell you to go out and get the original version if you can find it. See what all the fuss is about. See why this is the granddaddy of worker placement games, yeah? So there you go. That is our revised top 10 worker placement games of all time. Do you agree with our list? Have we left anything off the list? I'm sure there's a load of dickheads out there screaming at the TV saying, why didn't you put X on the list? Why didn't you put Y on the list? Put that in the comments below, because I'm always interested to discover new games from you. But remember, if you're new here, then please consider subscribing to this channel, hit the like button, all that bollocks. I'll see you next time.